we're going straight into our next session of the Prague Media Point conference, and we have I'm going to mispronounce this, Ilona Biernacka-Ligieza, who is at the Canterbury University in the UK and University Marie Curie in Lublin, in the Faculty of Political Science and Journalism. And Ilona is again going to be talking this extraordinarily relevant topic of crisis journalism. And she's not only doing that, but I have to say that she's doing that suffering herself from COVID and from hospital. So Ilona, we wish you all the very best, and we thank you enormously for doing this despite having to do this from such difficult and straitened circumstances. Ilona, you've got 20 minutes and then we'll turn to some conversation.
Thank you, Tony, so much. I'm sorry for being out of the camera, but as this situation is really not comfortable for me, I decided just to participate, even with some difficulties. That's why for making the speech more smooth without any kind of disruptions because of lack of connection, I turned off my camera. But I hope it will not be a huge problem. So I need to give a brief introduction towards what I did in my research, because it's this crisis communication case. It's part of the biggest project, which I really decided to launch because of the COVID in this year. But the project itself, it was the analysis or the comparative study about 4 countries, Poland, Italy, UK and Norway, and the relation between the communication at the local level between the communities, local government and media, and how digitalization process influences the communication at the local level. And as the COVID hit my project in the middle, or truly at the beginning of its realization, I decided to take up this crisis communication case, and I focused on local media and local authorities in Italy, UK, and Poland. That is my presentation about what I did and how I structured my research. The research is based on qualitative and quantitative analysis. I did interviews among journalists and people who are working for local authorities, mainly PR officers and local politicians. And also I did some interviews among inhabitants. Of course, most of them they were done online because of the situation. And I was trying to find out first of all, if digital platforms are the most important channels for distributing information during pandemic. Secondly, how the strategic communication at the local level must be based on the effective cooperation between national, local bodies together with local media. Thirdly, how local politicians' online activity supports the strategic communication. Fourthly, if digital media contribute to increase citizens' awareness about pandemic to improve their participation. So here, mainly, I focused on the participation process and how this participation process at the local level is supported by the governmental initiatives and local media initiatives. And fifthly, as the last point, I decided to focus on a bit on social media and their role in the discussion and debate about the pandemic at the local level. And what must be underlined during my studies, what was the key point, is that I will maybe move very quickly to this slide. What is crucial and what appeared to be quite huge problem for each country is that the communication at the local level should be really tailored very precisely to the community needs. And what is hidden behind it, it's not only the media who plays the strategic role in that circumstances. It's very often the relation between the local authorities and national bodies, and how they are cooperating and how they are structuring the news, especially those official news which are coming from the top to the down. And it appeared after my research that it doesn't matter which place I did my research. So also UK respondents and Italian respondents, and of course people from Poland. Here there were the biggest issue, the biggest problem between this communication from which comes from the top till the bottom. So the quality of information which were sent from the national government. There is nothing on the slide. I'm just focusing on this first slide and trying to explain how it is so important to identify the segment and target, and to tailor this information according to the audience needs, and how local governments together with local authorities, how this work and this cooperation was so important and so difficult during pandemic. So this was really a troublesome issue for each government, because the communication, the information which was received by the local governments, and each mayor who I asked in my interview, they admitted that especially about the statistics, they did not clear information, that the national bodies, they were trying to hide some true stories behind not rapid response to the statistical data. And there was, at the beginning especially, there was not enough support from the national government in terms of any kind of reaction towards a panic which appeared at the beginning. And Polish people, the mayors from Polish communities, they even went further in terms of their critiques, that they were a bit manipulated, I will use this word, by the national bodies in terms of structuring the news, which was absolutely not right. And due to that, appeared the next dangerous element that at the local communication level, that the information which appeared, especially at the media, social media, which are part of this independent communication, were based on untruth stories, and they really created masses of fake news at the local level. So generally, considering this this entrance and the basis for the strategic communication at the local level, it appeared that the biggest issue running this strategy smoothly was not the technical devices, because it appeared that local governments, that they were quite good prepared for sending the information technically. But the biggest issue was this communication chaos, which appeared at the beginning of, especially at the beginning of pandemic, and this lack of cooperation between the local level of government and national level, and this not always truth stories which were sent to the local government. So that was the first very important issue which must be underlined as the issue which appeared at the beginning of pandemic. So carrying on with the tools of the communities and what kind of tools were used and were supposed to be used by the local government and local communities as a whole to be the most effective during the pandemics. It was basically what is absolutely the most common. So we are based on mobile phones and all kinds of applications and social media. So when you, Tony, can you just skip this part with the theory and move to the case study, which is, I think, the most important to be analyzed, and you can see how the local community based their resources of the this is the first slide after the theory. It's case study. Okay, go for, okay, here, thank you. So how local communities in those three countries were based in terms of looking for information. So you can see that, of course, that the main source was the national news outlet in terms of the basics in information resources, and also public institutions. They were this sphere where people were looking for the information, and local and regional news outlets, not so many. Here, when we are considering the local and regional news outlets, it was basically the place where people were debating and discussing. They were not looking for the official information. And of course, the public institution as municipalities, Sanepid, this is the Polish institution which is responsible for the hygienic procedures, and international news outlets. So for local communities, totally the international news outlets were not the source for the information about the issues connected with local public sphere. And what I would like to underline while we are looking at this table is that everybody who was interviewed by me admitted that this was something which changed the overview in terms of cooperation between the national and local bodies, and that's why that's what I mentioned before. This cooperation between national and local bodies, it becomes even more important as during pandemics, the priorities and the perception of the news which was sent by the national bodies changed because everybody believed that the national institutions, they are responsible for taking care about the communities, and if the information was untruth, that was something which changed which may change the reality. And in the end, the strategic communication was not successful at all. That's a kind of reflection which came to my mind after the research. And what you can see about the participation of the local communities in terms of commenting to stories at the local level, you can see that the participation before and after the pandemics hasn't changed a lot. Still, people are rather quite active in terms of commenting when it comes to the reported stories, and basically maybe the quality of comments has changed as before the pandemics. All issues were rather treated with more aggression and vulgarity. There was quite of abuse language when the topics were more focused on pandemic. The quality of comments, I would say, improved a little bit as the situation was more serious.
So, Ilona, can I just ask you this very interesting table? The measurements the measurements are of what? They're the percentage of local news outlets doing each of those. So, am I right? So you have a massive increase in commentary and in outlets doing commentary and opinion.
Yes.
During the crisis.
Yes.
Why? I mean, it's a near doubling in most cases, more than doubling in most cases. Why is that?
From my analysis, and from all my time which I did my analysis of local communities, the case is the more important the case for the local community is, the more involved the community is in commenting. If I saw it also before, maybe not as massive as it appeared with the COVID, but when in my local community where I'm analyzing the process of communication for many years, when something really important for the community itself appeared, always the comments were increasing slightly or more. But here, I think that the pandemics hit so much the community, and there was something which pushed the community to be integrated, and that's only what I thought was the reason why this.
Can I just ask for clarification?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're saying commentary and opinion, is that editors commissioning comment pieces and publishing more comment pieces, or is that social media? Or is that comments under articles and social media comments?
Comments under social media, and that's not the editors. That's people who are commenting.
Okay, important clarification.
Okay. Do you have any questions? Any more question to that?
No. Please go on. Yeah.
Okay, so here I think that's not so important, because I'm looking at the time, and I just would maybe the last table. here, if we are in commenting session, also you can see some increase in terms of the a little the numbers of comments, and of course the time of the comments. And what is important, if we are looking at the quality of comments and the social media engaged in the process of sharing the news, is that of course the Facebook was the leading platform for running the debate and discussion, but also for especially for young generation was the Instagram. They were taking photos. They were sending some short movies from being locked down, just to cheer up a little bit, or sometimes to share some solutions how to survive during the pandemic. So here we could see a little bit of difference in terms of using social media between the different groups of people. And one more thing which must be added to the social media usage in terms of the specific groups of people who are creating the local public sphere. It was very important for the local community how the local government elites participated in the process of communication. And in that case, when we are considering social media and visibility online, each community, which mayor or president or local politicians, they were active on social media, running everyday relation. How is it going in the community? What about the new cases? How we should support? What actions were undertaken, and so on. It was really seen that in those communities, the situation, the comments on the general channels, on social media channels, were much more positive, and people were supporting the local authorities, and especially in terms when the mayor itself was participating in this communication process, when he or she herself, they were running everyday Facebook channel. And it was very important for local communities to see the engagement of local politicians, local authorities, in the process of communication, in the process of supporting local
Ilona,
communities.
can I jump in and start and ask a few questions? Leave a little bit of time for Q&A. Let me just check whether there's anyone else's. I certainly have lots of questions here. So in one of the points that you're emphasizing is that in a crisis, the direct communication channels from the political institutions, political leaders, etc., become more and more important. And in a way, that seems very natural, right? Because when there's a fire in the building, you want to listen to the voice that's coordinating the exit from the building. In a sense, a crisis is the kind of moment when you want to have a reduction in the plurality of voices, and you want to have a communication which is much more than usual focused on what everyone should be doing in a very practical sense. So if that's the case, then I guess the natural question is, what is the role of local media in a crisis? So if we have direct channels of communication from those involved in managing the crisis, is there much of a role for what we would usually think of as being local media?
That's a question to me.
Yes.
I think yes. From my research and from what I've observed during my research, the trust towards the local media is higher than towards the national institution platforms. As it was clearly seen, especially in my country. As you know, nowadays in Poland we do have some problems with this national media. People openly admitted that they need local media, they need local content, because they trust more to the local media, because they proved to be critical to the issues which were not positive before. So I think first of all, the trust towards the local media is still quite high, especially to independent in digital channels. It was clearly seen especially in Poland and Italy, in those two regions where I did my research, in Macerata and in Wrocław.
So can I mean, from the point of view of, I guess that more generally my question is this, is what is the role of media in a crisis? Because in a way, let's say the management of a crisis, the fire is, the building is on fire, the management of a crisis, you leave to the fire service, they give instructions, those instructions get pushed out, and you hope that people obey those instructions. Now, if there's such a fundamental trust issue, then in a sense, you've got I can see that the country has a real crisis management problem, because obviously if you don't trust the voice of those trying to manage the crisis, then it's very difficult to get for people to follow guidelines, for there to be a common view as to how everyone should behave in order to get through the crisis. And that's in a sense a kind of deep political problem. But what is the role of a channel that's trusted in that context? Is the role of the channel that is trusted to do, something that you highlighted was to comment on the discrepancy between the center and the periphery in the politics of it? Or is it to say, well, look, we're in a crisis, we need to put these political questions aside, and we need to help to manage this crisis?
That's a difficult question, and that's, I suppose, quite difficult answer too, because I think that more it should be to take up really the crisis and to deal with the issues at the local level, and to try to instruct the people from this local area where they should go, who should be to contact with in case of any crisis. As at the local level, it was also a chaos because the competences for managing the crisis at the local level, it's on the local government's shoulder. It's not the national body. They give the general instructions, but at each community you have different reality. And the access to even the basic medical support is for some, especially distant places, quite difficult. That there were cases where people were dying before they reached the hospital, because there was some issues with accepting the patient in particular. So that was the case, how to show people what they should do, where they should go, and to
Got it, Ilona. Ilona, it's absolutely fascinating and very, very important question, which is what should be the role of these different media channels in such times. We've come to the end of your session. I hope you get better soon. Thank you so much for participating from the hospital, and thank you for a fascinating presentation.
Thank you so much.
Bye, Ilona.
Bye.